Good morning, people. So yeah, as promised, this is gonna be the series of vids about servicing. Please don't mind the background noise. Now I have decided to put it in parts, and I'll first try and explain how I try to diagnose what the problem is, and then obviously the solution. So it would be a series of different videos, so that if you're having a particular problem, you can just go to the link and watch that particular video. If you want the entire series, you can watch all of them. They would contain what all is needed to service the bike. So let's say, for example, uh, you are the doctor, you are the patient, you are the mechanic, you are the bike, and you are the rider. So first of all, let's say while starting the bike, you are having some trouble, and it is not, it is just a bit slow in starting or taking more than one or two ignitions. So that is the problem identified, and the solution for that, what could be causing those? First of all, we will see the spark plug. We'll clean it if needed. Do I have observed that fuel injected plugs do tend to stay clean? But yeah, adjust the gap. Age of the spark plug. Company recommends changing the spark plug at somewhere around 10,000. That is too early. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, about 20-25 a spark plug can last and give good spark. So that is first problem if the engine is just troubling when it starts. The second problem could be that the valve clearance needs adjustment, because if the valves are not cleared properly, the engine is not getting that exact compression. And I'm talking about the new engine, of course. So yeah, so second problem would be taking care of the valve adjustment. And the third thing would be to just check for any leaks here. Usually in a new bike, again, that should not be an issue. So I'm having some trouble starting the bike, and I think that is just because of the spark plug gap. And last thing would be to check the air filter, which I have to change any which ways, so I'll be changing that as well. So these things would be associated with how the bike is running, starting, early cold morning starts, and all that. So that was one point. Now the second point again would be the problem that we go usually and discuss with the mechanics would be that the clutch or the gear shifts are just a bit harsh. Now they are okay on this one, but just in case if you are having some trouble changing the gears and finding it a bit harsh, the problem has been identified, and here's the solution. First of all, the lever play needs to be proper. This thing, I'll put a video on that, of course, in the link. The second thing for that would be and how it is adjusted on Himalayan is from this side. So I'll show that. And the second thing of why we can be having the gear shifting problem would be the chain is not properly lubed. As you can see, this chain is properly lubed. And the third thing would be that there is just too much of play. Now this can be called too much. So yeah, the chain needs adjustment on this. So that was for the second point. Now the third point is that the engine is just lugging, not accelerating that bit. Again, fuel injected bikes don't have that problem, carbureted ones do. So we thanks fuel injection for that. So the third thing would be that the engine oil is just too mucky. We will be taking care of that as well. Engine oil is going to be changed. Now to speed up, the fourth thing would be that the brakes are having some trouble. I'm not sure whether you have had it or not, but it's sometimes like when you're going over a rough patch, a stone, a curb, or say a ding, pothole, all of a sudden you try to brake and the brake just does not respond. There is kind of that gestation period. Now if that happens, problem identified, we'll first check for bad depth. This is okay. Second thing would be clearing the caliper cylinders inside. So we'll have to take this unit out, clean it up, and check for all the moving parts, whether they're greased or not. So that needs to be done on this as well. What's next? What else I'll be covering on this today? Yeah, the other thing, fifth point would be that the cone set is making that tick tick kind of noise whenever you're going over a pothole or a bad patch. Again, that would mean that we need to adjust and tighten the top nut and the lock nut. Now as you can see, after the last thing I did about scraping the top. I think I have not cleared the bottom part that nicely. Might have to do it again because this stays intact now. This is not loosening, but this one has moved about 5ish 10ish degrees, so that needs to be adjusted. It was greased. It is a good practice at the time of service to grease the cone set as well. As for greasing, I'll be covering a different video on that, but I hope you can see. So I hope you can see these bits for the linkage need to be greased as well. Again, a good practice to take the rear drum out. I'm sorry, not drum, the rear caliper out. Check for oil. So that seems okay. What about this one? Yeah, that seems okay. Only 7,000 kilometers I think this bike has done. So I've delayed the service by about 500 kilometers. I was supposed to service it at 6,500. Anyways, 500 is not that big a deal. Now, it is again a good practice to lube the front and rear bearings for the wheel, as with lubing and greasing everything else, cleaning the chain. So let's begin. I'll be starting off now. I'll start. The first video would be to take the oil out. The level has maintained itself, only required 2 top-ups in about 5,500 kilometers, so that is not bad. Still above the level mark. About this, another point that I like to share is there is a different remark by everyone of how much engine oil needs to go in. Service center guys, I spoke with them, they say that we should be putting in 2.5 liters, which I think is too much. Service manual says we should be putting in 1.6. I am not sure, but once while doing the first service, when I took the engine oil out, 1.8 ml came out, so I'm sticking with that. I'm sticking with 1.8 so I get the same level. So that is the idea. Now you guys can tell me what your service people have advised or how much you are putting in. That can come in handy, and let's begin. That was it. So one by one I'll be doing all the things and posting the video on that. First thing, as I said, engine oil drain and clean. Now while I do that, as you can see, I have dinged my bash plate in one of the off-roading expeditions of mine. So I'll be removing the bash plate any which ways and trying to fix this with a hammer. Hopefully this should stick. Maybe it will break. I mean, I'll try to be careful. So anyways, next video would be engine oil change.